Hi, I'm Matt, and welcome to my latest gaming news video. I'll be covering recent gaming news as well as some other gaming related things in this video. I'm grateful for any feedback, so if you feel any need to do so, please leave a comment below. You can also like and subscribe if you're enjoying my videos. I'll now get into some gaming news from the past week or so. So first up in today's gaming news, some more detail on the development of Skull Island Rise of Kong. I wasn't expecting to cover this game again so soon. But yeah, I covered the game's sort of reception in last week's gaming news videos, and I've covered it a couple times previously. But yeah, go back and check out that if you want to see how it was being received on release. Just a quick recap rather. Rise of Kong is being completely planned, and really looks like a terrible game. Even beating out Gollum for the #1 spot of the worst game of the year, which is rather impressive, I'd say, in a bad way. So far, IGN and two other outlets, everyeye.it, which I believe is an Italian outlet, and Gaming Bolt, so far the only three like a big outlets to review the game, with IGN and Every Eye giving it a 30, and Gaming Bolt giving it a 20 on Metacritic. And I think currently has a 3.9 on Metacritic. I actually thought it'd be lower than that, but there's probably some meme reviews in there, so it probably is. So yeah, this week, while the game is still bad and likely always will be, some of the developers at Iguana Bee, who made the game, have come out anonymously and detailed some reasons why the game have ended up as it did. No surprise, Rise of Kong's awfulness is, according to the devs, because of the game's publisher, Game Mill Entertainment. Reporters at The Verge had a chat with developers that worked on the game. I think a couple former developers as well, maybe. And they detailed a few reasons why it was so bad. According to the devs, Game Mill Entertainment required the game be completed in a year, with the game starting development in June of 2022 and finishing in June of this year, 2023. They said that the game was developed under such restrictive circumstances that this was the best they could do in the 12 months or so time frame. And yeah, even though I had not heard of the publisher before, I'm pretty sure Game Mill is apparently known for contracting indie studios to produce licensed and tie-in games with short time frames for development. Game Mill, according to the article, didn't provide enough funding to the studio to employ enough highly experienced staff, with one dev saying, quote, "I remember very well that they let go of a colleague who had been there longer than me. Deep down, I knew it was because the publisher didn't provide them with enough funding to maintain a certain number of people for an extended period." Another dev, a former one who didn't work on Rise of Kong specifically, spoke about previous games that Game Mill published, and that, quote, "It was very common for us to not to be provided with all the information about the project, which was quite frustrating when working because we had to improvise with the limited information we had on hand," end quote. According to the article at The Verge, the game was made from scratch with, only up to 20 developers in that time frame, but sometimes that number apparently dropped to only 2 people working on it at a time. I guess for a period of time, which yeah, isn't great if true, and is probably a major reason this game flopped so spectacularly. What's more is that the studio was pushed hard to get the game out due to the 12-month development time, with one dev saying, quote, "The crunch was really set in motion in February. I was on automatic pilot by the end of February because all hope was lost." Jeez. Yeah, that all sounds pretty rough, and it's not good the devs were pushed so hard. I know this is alleged stuff, but it wouldn't surprise me if the publisher of Game Mill is this bad, as it does seem that some publishers can be really awful. And yeah, I do feel bad for the developers. It sounds like they tried to put something decent out, but were artificially limited in what they could do. But yeah, nonetheless, like in conclusion, Rise of Kong, though developed to this tight deadline they speak of, is still an awful game that has been received terribly and will likely make it to the top of most people's worst games of 2023's lists, besting yeah, even Gollum by the looks. And yeah, that's something I did not expect to be saying, given how awful that game is. So let's move away from Kong and hopefully an upcoming game that's actually going to be good, hopefully. But yeah, now for some EA related news. EA Motive, the developers behind Star Wars Squadrons and the Dead Space remake, and who helped develop Star Wars Battlefront 2, the newer ones, 2017, I believe. Amongst some other games, some other things, is confirmed to currently be working on an Iron Man game, and this in development Iron Man game was announced in September of last year. According to reports, EA Motive or Motive Studios is now entirely focusing on this upcoming Iron Man game. The game has also been developed in Unreal Engine 5, so that's cool if they can pull that off all right and it runs all right. And yeah, it's in early stages of development. So as the IGN article says, this new Iron Man is likely quite a few years out from release. Yeah, I hadn't heard of this before, but as with the Dead Space remake, Motive put together a community council for the upcoming Iron Man game. This is going to be a group of people, notably Iron Man fans, who will offer feedback and guide the development process at Motive for the game. Sounds like a cool idea. I hadn't heard of this with the Dead Space remake, but it certainly makes sense. Hopefully, it helps shape the game into a great superhero game. If they can make an Iron Man game that's on par with Insomniac Spider-Man games, that would be pretty awesome. Whether that is possible, I don't know. I guess we'll have to just wait and see. I actually remember playing the 2008 Iron Man game on my 360 Xbox 360, and yeah, really enjoyed it. Hopefully, Motive can create something at least as good as that game, but with a modern polish. Yeah, and improve gameplay and the likes. Yeah, there aren't many Iron Man games, and I think Iron Man, along with the Incredible Hulk, are sort of long overdue gaming updates. It also looks like this will be the first of three Marvel superhero games that EA is going to publish over the coming years. According to reports, it isn't known whether these three other games, or the two other games, I guess, will be separate Marvel characters like the Hulk or Thor, maybe, or whether they will be sequels to the Iron Man game, I guess, if it does well. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be keeping tabs on this EA Motive Iron Man game. Yeah, I think it could be really good if done properly. Now from some EA to some Ubisoft news. Next up, some Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed news. Looks like a piece of potential art has leaked for the next Assassin's Creed game, and I will put up the image around here. I've also included an upscaled image for comparison, as the original image was quite low res. So yeah, the next Assassin's Creed, currently codenamed Red, was revealed to the public last September during Ubisoft Forward, and now we have the first leaked image from what I can tell. The image shows a female assassin wielding a Japanese sword, likely a katana, with a red background, the Assassin's Creed logo, and a Japanese style pagoda in the background with some birds. The image fits the aesthetic shown off in the Ubisoft Forward trailer. I'll put that trailer at some point during while I'm talking about this topic. AC Red is going to be set in feudal Japan, likely the Sengoku period, Japan's warring states period. There are other feudal periods, although this seems to be the most well known. I suspect this time period will be the setting for the game. The image was leaked by Ubisoft senior writer Pierre Bourdieu, who changed his LinkedIn cover photo to what is speculated to be the Assassin's Creed Red's protagonist. He subsequently changed it back to the AC Valhalla protagonist Ivor. As stated by Ubisoft during the reveal of AC Red, the next mainline Assassin's Creed game will be, quote, next premium flagship title and the future of our open world RPG games. So, yeah, as mentioned by IGN, this likely points to the game being closer in scope to Valhalla, Odyssey, and probably Origins, with it having a larger open world, which would be different to the most recent AC Mirage, which has a more concise and focused world. But yeah, if it is more like the sort of big open world Assassin's Creed games, then yeah, I'll be happy with that, as I really enjoyed Origins world scope and setting. But yeah, it also looks like AC Red will be releasing sometime in 2024, likely October, November time, so a year or so from now. Unless it gets delayed, you never know, it might do. But yeah, definitely looking forward to AC Red. Mirage sort of interests me a bit, but I'm not too bothered about it. I think I may try it someday, but I think Red is the next one that I'll really be interested in. And yeah, as I think many people are that will be interested that have wanted an AC game set in sort of medieval Japan, as the ninja or shinobi of this period are often sort of romanticized. And as a fan of the time period, yeah, I'm very happy to see it finally depicted in an AC game. really hope Ubisoft Quebec can hit it out of the park with Red. Now on to a piece of Elder Scrolls related news. As I covered before, it looks like the next Elder Scrolls game isn't going to be coming out until at least 2026, with some rumours suggesting even later. Following Starfield, the Elder Scrolls 6 will likely be Bethesda's next big release, at least for a new game based on its own IP, intellectual property. And according to a former Bethesda designer, it will likely feature parts of probably more developed Skyrim's magic system along with the game's progression system. The developer in question is Bruce Nesmith, who was recently on the MinMax's podcast for an interview. Bruce was Skyrim's lead designer, senior system designer on Starfield, and the design director for Bethesda Games Studios. Speaking of the Elder Scrolls 6, Nesmith said, quote, "And that's going to be worked on and decided by the people who are there now. What will probably come through are things that were developed in Oblivion and Skyrim that will further be further developed in Elder Scrolls 6. He also said that this quote, his fingerprints, will be etched into whatever comes, and that he was certain that Skyrim's magic system, more specifically the upgrade system, will be expanded on in the next Elder Scrolls game. And according to the Games Radar article, he also revealed that, quote, "The whole magic system for Skyrim, I persuaded Todd to let me throw the baby and the bathwater out for Skyrim and start again from scratch. There probably will be traces of that in Elder Scrolls 6. The whole you do it to get better at it, that's probably going to continue. A lot of the concepts dealing with how you level and stuff like that, there'll be a bunch of new ideas thrown in, but I'm betting some of this stuff I worked on will still survive to the new one." That all, yeah, sounds somewhat fine to me, but I don't want Bethesda to rehash all the old systems from Skyrim. I think it'd be better if those systems received an overhaul, maybe even a rebuild from the ground up. It seems like a lot of things will be new, magic-wise, though there will at least be some things carried over from Skyrim, and yeah, I did mention Oblivion. But yeah, I just hope Bethesda doesn't copy Skyrim too much, as I'd like to see something different. And just to add, I did really like Skyrim, but I think a change in some gameplay mechanics would be a nice shift. I guess we'll just have to wait a few more years before we can find out for ourselves. The next bit is some Microsoft slash Xbox gaming news. During an interview following Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, I thought wouldn't be covering this again so much and so soon. But yeah, Microsoft's CEO Satya Nadella has said that the company is, quote, doubling down on its game division and being a game producer and publisher. During an interview with MSN, it's a bit of a blast from the past. I knew MSN was still a thing, but I hadn't heard about it in a while, or them in a while. But yeah, anyway, during the interview, Nadella said a number of things related to the acquisition and gaming in general, with the more notable one. Nadella says, quote, "So we're looking forward to really doubling down both as a game producer and publisher. Now will be one of the largest game publishers and also as a company that's building platforms for it." Yeah, they certainly will be one of the biggest publishers given how many gaming companies they now own. I think I covered that in the last video, all the IP they now are in control of. Yeah, according to the article, Microsoft is now only behind Tencent on the list of biggest game publishers by revenue. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how the next few years in gaming shape out when in relation to Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, and see what they sort of do with that added power, I guess you could say. All the new IPs. Next, we've got some more layoff news this week. According to a report by Sports Illustrated's GLHF, that seems to be their gaming news division, hadn't heard of it before. Media Molecule, the developers behind the Little Big Planet franchise and Dreams, among other games, is going to lay off 15 to 20% of its staff. But yeah, as I said, Media Molecule are probably best known for their Little Big Planet games, a beloved PlayStation franchise that has a number of entries. I have played one of the Little Big Planet games. I can't remember which, however, it was a while ago, so I think one of the early ones. But anyway, Media Molecule also made Dreams, which looks quite cool actually. You could build all sorts of stuff using it. Remember it sort of got quite a bit of popularity at one point with people putting up videos of like covering it and seeing what sort of games they could copy with it. Or sort of emulate, I guess. But yeah, Dreams is no longer supported by them, with support ending from September of this year. Although you can still play and use it to create and share creations. However, that's what I read on it anyway during the article. But yeah, anyway, GLHF, as detailed in the Video Game Chronicle article, has said that the game studio, Media Molecule, had an internal meeting recently and told staff that it was planning on laying off around 20 of its 135 employees. Not much else to say on this one, I guess. Just that, as always, hope affected employees land on their feet and are supported. And yeah, hopefully find employment elsewhere. But yes, another game studio enacting layoffs. There have been so many lately. I've covered so many. So yeah, it's wild, really. But yeah, even some I haven't covered, which I just recently noticed, like Telltale Games earlier this month. But yeah, it's certainly a bit of a rough time for the gaming industry as a whole. When it comes to job security, it's a bit of rough times for them. Hopefully, hopefully things get better in the future. Now for a quick update on Lords of the Fallen, Lords of the Fallen 2023, that is, and its sales. I had covered the game a few times recently, including its reception. The game seems to be fairly good, certainly not a bad game overall, with a Metascore of 75 and a user score of 7.1 and a mixed 59% rating on Steam. That mixed rating isn't great, but it could be worse, as we've seen with Gollum and Rise of Kong. I'm sure both those games are way worse than Lords of the Fallen, the new Lords of the Fallen. But yeah, anyway, Lords of the Fallen 2023 does seem to be doing quite well commercially. According to CI Games, the publisher for the game, Hexworks being the developers, the game has sold over 1 million copies so far since launch. And yeah, I'd say 1 million is quite impressive. Quite an impressive number for the game so soon after it launched. Hopefully, this means that there will be a sequel. I do plan on playing the game someday, as I do really like the look of it. I was considering trying out the old one, but I think I would just play the new one. As I think I do generally prefer the look of the new one. But yeah, I can't say when that'll be. It could be a while. I've got a bit of a backlog, as you probably have realised if you've been listening to these videos for a while. But yeah, no, that's cool. 1 million copies, impressive. And moving on, City Skylines 2. I'll be covering the reviews for this game in a bit, but this is the sort of last news piece before I get into reception and then upcoming games. Yeah, I just first wanted to cover news that the developers Colossal Order have come out and said the game was made with a 30 FPS performance target in mind. And given the reception the game has received, which I will cover as mentioned, this performance target hasn't gone down too well with some fans of the game series. Colossal Order's chief technical officer, CTO, said during a recent Reddit AMA that, quote, the target is 30 FPS because of the nature of the game. Arguably, there are no real benefit in a city builder to aim for higher FPS, unlike a multiplayer shooter, as a growing city will inevitably become CPU bound. What matters more with this type of game is to avoid stutters and have responsive UI. I guess in some ways what the CTO said was fine. I feel these games don't need the high frame rates like some multiplayer games. But yeah, even for this type of game, I'm pretty sure 60 FPS feels considerably better than 30. I think a delay for the game would have maybe helped. They could have then worked on improving PC performance. I'm not quite sure how it runs on console. As I believe it's on both Xbox Series X and X and PS5. I guess at least they warned people in advance, though. They did put out a statement saying this game is gonna have performance issues, but instead of throwing the game out without warning, I guess. But yeah, still not ideal, not great. But yes, let's move into the reception part of the video. So the game's reception, City Skylines 2 game. Yeah, I've been looking forward to, as I really loved the first game, and yeah, as I covered in my last gaming news upcoming section video, I covered the game, and as I mentioned earlier, I spoke about how Paradox put out a statement to expect the performance to not be up to scratch. They have decided to put the game out anyway, as you likely know, and have received a fair bit of blowback from gamers, as the game has performance issues, as they sort of detailed. So, into the reviews then. First up, we have Metacritic, where the game has a Metascore of 76 at the time of checking, based on 51 critic reviews. So, not too bad. That's, yeah, not certainly not a terrible score. It's fairly decent, but a bit lower than the first game, which achieved a Metascore of 85. And yeah, I feel a mid 80s rating to be a decent amount different to a mid 70s, certainly a low 70s rating. But yeah, there was no user score at the time of checking, but I will add alongside the Metascore if they show up by the time I'm editing onto Steam, which have user ratings, I guess. And score-wise, it has a mixed rating on Steam with 48% of reviews being positive when I checked. For comparison, the first game has a very positive rating on Steam with 93% of over 180,000 reviews being positive. But yeah, I certainly understand the first game getting so many positive reviews. Yeah, it's an amazing city builder and game in general. And yeah, in conclusion, I guess City Skylines 2 seems really good, but similar to the first game. But it's another example of a great game being overshadowed by its rough performance, kind of like Star Wars Jedi Survivor earlier this year. But yeah, hopefully Colossal Order can improve things going forward. But yeah, I'll be will more than likely play the game still in the future. Maybe by then the performance problems won't be as much of an issue. But yeah, it's just another thing to just wait for, I guess, and see how things pan out. And now into a game that is receiving great reviews. Marvel's Spider-Man 2, developed by Insomniac Games. Before we cover that, I did want to cover Insomniac Spider-Man 2's sales. According to Insomniac and PlayStation slash Sony, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is the fastest selling PlayStation Studios game ever. According to PlayStation via its official X account, the game had sold more than 2.5 million copies in its first 24 hours. So yeah, that's quite an impressive number of sales. For comparison, God of War Ragnarok sold 5.1 million in its first week. Apparently 24-hour numbers weren't given. Last of Us Part 2 had sold more than 4 million copies in 3 days. And Insomniac's first Marvel Spider-Man game sold 3.3 million in its first 3 days. The game's doing, yeah, very well, critically and commercially. I'm glad for Insomniac, as I did really enjoy the first game, and I want to play the sequel at some point. Not sure when that'll be, however, as I don't have a PS5 and the game isn't on PC yet. Hopefully they develop a PC port eventually. Now on to Marvel's Spider-Man 2's reception. As mentioned, it is receiving a lot of praise from critics and players alike. It does seem like a very good game, just as good as the first game. So on Metacritic, Spider-Man 2 has a Metascore of 90. This is based on 133 critic reviews, and it has a user score of 9.0, based on around 3,787 ratings. Also, I thought I'd add this in as there's no Steam reviews. On OpenCritic, the game scores 91, with 97% of critics recommending the game based on 123 critic reviews. For comparison, on Metacritic, the first game has a Metascore of 87 based on 129 critic reviews, and a user score of 8.7 based on around 9,694 user ratings. So yeah, even when compared to the first game, which is a really good game, I thought, Insomniac's Spider-Man 2 is yeah, doing really well. It does have quite a high bar to meet, as the first game was so good, but it seems to have surpassed it somewhat. Yeah, I think I need to go back and play the first game again. It's been a little while, and hopefully play this new one someday. It's on the list. So that's the reception section of the video finished. I'll move into the upcoming games. So yeah, upcoming game section now. We've got 6 games to cover, and although there aren't too many I'm interested in, maybe you'll be different. But yeah, there are a few interesting ones, but yeah, nothing for me anyway that's really big this week. At least, yeah, in my view and what I'm sort of interested in. But yeah, the first game is Achilles Legends Untold. This is actually currently in early access on Steam, but is officially launching on the 2nd of November. This game is an action RPG, I guess kind of similar to Titan Quest in some ways, and does look like it in some ways. But yeah, it does seem different. I'm also getting some Diablo 4 vibes. And similar to Titan Quest, the game is actually set in mythical ancient Greece and actually Troy. Achilles Legends Untold is isometric, so also similar to a lot of other ARPGs, and apparently the game is quite difficult as described by the developer. One of the Steam tags is actually Souls-like, or these are user-defined as well, so players are saying it's a hard game, I guess. as they are able to play it via early access. Which, yeah, it's good to know if you like a challenging game. And yeah, you do actually play as Achilles, but you're not locked to a single character build as detailed by the developer. Quote, discover the story of Achilles told anew, conquer your fear, make moral choices, and find your place in the ongoing conflict of mythological proportions. Collect diverse loot from healing potions through crafting materials to temporary bonuses. Expand your arsenal by picking up various weapons. Choose from a variety of armaments and find your own fighting style, sword and shield, spear, or twin axes, you decide. Another cool sounding mechanic or feature of the game is something dubbed the Gaia or GAIA or Group AI Action, a bit of a mouthful there, trying to get that out, system which seems to provide more advanced AI slash NBC behavior, with the yeah, developer saying as well, quote, experience the capabilities of the Gaia Group AI action system that introduces innovative enemy behavior. Opponents have unscripted interactions with each other and are capable of coordinated attacks, sometimes even taking advantage of their surroundings. Graphically, it looks quite nice. It's not especially stylized or anything. It's going for a more realistic graphics approach. It does look like a modern Titan Quest to a certain degree, and just add Titan Quest 2 is coming, but has no release date yet. Anyway, Achilles Legends Untold is releasing on the 2nd of November and is coming to PC, Xbox Series X and S, and PS5 and PS4. And yeah, so far the game seems to be doing okay in its early access phase on Steam with a 74% mostly positive rating. So yeah, it might be the game to check out if you're a Titan Quest or ARPG fan and want something to hold you over till then. Second game up is another early access game that is getting a full release soon, and that game is My Time at Sandrock. I've actually heard a lot about this game the past year or so. It does seem to be a very popular game in the life sim slash farming sim genre. It's a genre I've covered a lot in my recent upcoming game sections, you may have noticed. And yeah, like those other farm sim, life sim games, it has building, crafting, decorating, farming, and so on. The building does look quite impressive with very sort of malleable building designs, actually. It does seem that there is yeah, a lot of content as well for people who enjoy to build and craft, as the developer states, quote, transform a rundown workshop into a well-oiled production facility. Use an intricate set of machines to process materials and produce parts of huge structures before assembling them piece by piece to help Sandrock flourish. Create hundreds of unique items at the work table to decorate your homestead, give gifts to Sandrock's residents, or assist with community requests. So yeah, exploration of the world is something the devs are advertising, and the game seems to have a rather expansive and varied world, which is a plus for me. I know some other farming life sim games have stories as well, but the one in My Time at Sandrock does seem quite extensive and includes numerous side quests with the developers saying, quote, experience a detailed story complete with hundreds of side quests and 30 all new characters. Spend time getting to know Sandrock's residents, uncovering backstories, and making meaningful connections along the way. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that much of the combat system either, actually, given the genre of the game, but pleasantly surprised. It seems quite action-packed and fast-paced. Kind of reminds me of like Resident Evil or Final Fantasy to some degree. It actually looks quite good, or at least yeah, better than I thought thought would be in the combat that would be implemented in like a life sim type game or farming game. Graphically, I think you probably know how this game is going to look. It's got that nice sort of casual slash cozy aesthetic that so many of these games have, and it yeah still looks pretty good to me here. As it is in early access currently, the game has already received been reviewed by players and is doing really well. It has a positive, very positive rating, with 82% of recent reviews being positive from almost 13,000 reviews when I checked. The developers Pathia Games also made another game which is set in the same universe, I believe, called My Time at Porsche, which released a few years ago now, and also has good reviews. It's also available on Game Pass, so I might give it a go, and it's actually on sale on Steam currently. Yeah, I'm guessing if you liked that game, My Time at Porsche, you will probably like Sandrock. My Time at Sandrock is fully releasing on the 2nd of November. A lot of games today are actually releasing on the 2nd. I think it's all of them but one. And yeah, it's coming to PC, current and last gen consoles, as well as the Nintendo Switch. And yeah, this is another farming sort of slash life sim I want to try there. But yeah, there are so many. Next up, we have Gangs of Sherwood, a game I had seen bits about before. And as you can likely tell by the name, the game is set in the Robin Hood universe. It's a PvE action game with co-op. Kind of reminds me of a sort of third-person Vermintide in some ways. Whether it would be as good as those games, I'm not sure. The game has you playing as one of four characters: Robin, Marion, Friar Tuck, or Little John, who you likely know if you know anything about sort of Robin Hood, I guess. The Sheriff of Nottingham is also the main villain, and he has used the Philosopher's Stone to empower his armies, and you'll be leading, along with three other characters, the rebellion against the Sheriff and his forces. And the setting is a futuristic dystopian one, actually, as the developer said. I guess futuristic in relation to the medieval period, which Robin Hood is usually depicted as being set in. Uh, and the game also, yeah, definitely has some steampunk vibes. Gameplay is heavily action orientated. You've got fast-paced third-person combat, and as it's set in a fantastical reimagined sort of Robin Hood world, there is magic and the likes. There also seems to be a fairly in-depth equipment and customization system, as detailed by the developers. Quote, improve your reputation by saving innocent lives in order to unlock new upgrades and even more devastating combos. Spend your hard-earned gold with merchants to upgrade your equipment and customize your skills to match your combat style. And quote there. And yeah, as I mentioned, it is co-op up to four players, with each player assuming control of one of the aforementioned Robin Hood characters, who each seem to have their own equipment, skills, and abilities, etc. There's also a solo campaign, as mentioned in the trailer for the game. Graphically, it looks as though it's going for a more stylized, realistic look, and yeah, I think it looks fine. Certainly not a bad-looking game. I have seen actually a bit of negativity surround the game, and it seems some people don't like the look and feel of the game. I'm not sure why. I think the game looks fine, but obviously I could be wrong, as it isn't out yet. I'll probably check back in with the game when it releases, just to see how it is being received on Steam and maybe Metacritic. But yeah, I probably won't cover it in the reception section of the next video, I doubt. Just yeah, just check for myself to see how it's been received. Gangs of Sherwood is releasing on the 2nd of November and is coming to current gen consoles and the PC. The Lionheart edition of the game is also on sale until the release on PC and Xbox, but not on PS5. I don't think the base version of the game is on sale, just like the special edition, Lionheart edition. Also, the PC version does seem to be a bit cheaper than the console versions. Now for the sequel to a very popular puzzle game, the Talos Principle. As you probably guessed, the Talos Principle 2. I've not played the original Talos Principle, but from what I can tell, going by reviews, it's really great puzzle game. Yeah, it has the first game has a very positive rating on Steam, with 92% of recent reviews being positive, which yeah is really good. I haven't played the first game, yeah, but yeah, I don't think I ever will. I'm not really into puzzle games. But yeah, anyway, the Talos Principle 2, like the first game, is a first person game with philosophical and thought provoking story elements. From what I've seen, the puzzles can be quite complex. Some might say mind bending. As the developer details, quote, a new generation of puzzles solve a wide array of puzzles with varying difficulty levels, including clever meta puzzles and highly challenging gold puzzles. Finish the game without solving every puzzle, or pursue the rewards of complete mastery. A variety of new abilities, such as gravity manipulation and mind transference, join the established mechanics of the original Talos Principle, creating a fresh but familiar experience. Yeah, they certainly seem rather complex, so those who enjoy this type of puzzle game will likely find the Talos Principle 2 very rewarding. But yeah, as I said, I'm not into puzzle games, but I can see why the Talos Principle games have a large fan base. Alongside their puzzles is a story where, quote, biological humanity is extinct, but human culture lives on in a city of robots. You find yourself swept up in a mind bending adventure involving a mysterious megastructure hiding enormous powers. It does seem that if you want to experience the story, then you don't necessarily have to complete every puzzle, but for completionists, there are rewards for total completion. Whether that means a pat on the back and congratulations, or actual tangible rewards in game, I'm not sure. Graphically, as with the first game, the Talos Principle 2 has a realistic, futuristic sort of graphical style. Both games look quite impressive from a pure sort of graphics fidelity standpoint, and the first game still looks quite nice. The second game takes us even further through the use of Unreal Engine 5. So let's hope the performance is good in the game. I haven't heard anything off about it. Yeah, it sounds fine. At least the developers haven't come out and said that it's going to have performance issues. But yeah, you never know, never know these days. The Talos Principle 2 releases on the 2nd of November and is coming to the PC, Xbox Series consoles, and the PS5. There is also a demo for the game on the PC, and the game has a 10% discount until release on PC and Xbox. Now onto a movie time game, Robocop Rogue City. This game, yeah, as you probably realise, given the name, is a new Robocop game. This is, I believe, the first Robocop game since 2014. Not a massive fan of the franchise, but I think I vaguely remember watching the first movie years ago. But nothing else I've really seen about it. But yeah, however, it does have a quite the following. Yeah, from what I can tell. Like the films, the game is setting a near future depiction of Detroit, with you playing as the eponymous Robocop, a part man, part machine cop hero, whose main objective is to bring justice to the criminals of old Detroit. The story for this game, according to developers, is an original one and takes place between Robocop 2 and 3. As stated by the devs, quote, the city of Detroit has been hit by a series of crimes and a new enemy is threatening the public order. Your investigation leads you right into the heart of a shadowy project in an original story that takes place between Robocop 2 and 3. Gameplay takes place from a first-person perspective, and has you taking control of Robocop and combating bad guys. It also seems to have detective elements as well, with you looking for evidence, interrogating criminals, as well as maintaining public order. Going by the description, Robocop Rogue City has a somewhat open world, or at least open areas, or open-ended areas to explore, where you can decide how to complete objectives, and the decisions you make affect the citizens and the mission, according to the devs. Graphics wise, it's going for a realistic approach and does look nice from like a graphical fidelity standpoint. It's also looking like there will be lots of different environments that you'll be going to during the playthrough of the game, from the police station to the city streets, subway, industrial zones, and more. I did watch an impressions video that Angry Joe did with the other Joe of the game, and they both seem fine with it. It certainly doesn't seem like it's going to be a bad game, although I couldn't see myself playing it. It's not my type of game. But yes, anyway, Robocop Rogue City is releasing on November 2nd and is coming to PC as well as current gen Xbox and PlayStation consoles. And yeah, I hope for all the Robocop fans out there that this ends up being a good game. It's another one I might just check back in on to see how it's been received on Steam. And the final game in today's upcoming game section is EA Sports WRC. As you might expect, this is a racing game, more specifically a rally racing game. It's being developed by Codemasters, who make the Dirt and Dirt Rally games, as well as Grid and the F1 games. This is the first WRC game, however, and I believe, well, the first WRC game they're developing, or they have developed, and I believe the first WRC game with EA Sports branding. As you may know, I'm a fan of racing games, although I do feel let down by the most recent ones. But yeah, I'm not really into rally racing games as much, but I wouldn't mind trying one out. The most rally sort of racing I've ever done, I think, was in the older Gran Turismos. They have their rally championships and things usually. But yeah, I may just give one of the older sort of rally specific games a go someday. And yeah, while I've not played many rally racing games, yeah, I know there are a bunch of rally racing franchises. Some I've already mentioned, and yeah, I believe most of the previous World Rally Championship games are held in high regard by the rally racing fans, and hopefully this one is no different. Although Codemasters is now developing them, I'm guessing the game probably won't be too different from previous entries, and you'll likely know what a rally game entails racing-wise. You drive a rally car around mostly off-road tracks or courses and compete to get the best times. There is multiplayer as well, which is detailed on the official website. I'm not sure if this was a thing in the older WRC games, or any rally games. I suspect it at least was to some degree, or has been to some degree. You can design your own rally car in this game via the use of a new quote builder mode. Yeah, it sounds pretty cool. If there are a lot of customization options, then the game will score points with me. And the car roster is what you might expect with many custom rally cars from all sorts of manufacturers. Hopefully this variety, along with the builder mode, will mean there will be a lot of variation to the game. Graphically, I think you know the deal here. It's a high fidelity, good looking modern racing game. It does look quite impressive. The cars, the dirt, snow, foliage, and the terrain all look nice, and the environments are quite diverse with lots of different grassland, hilly, and forested, mountainous locales. EA Sports WRC, or just WRC, is releasing on the 3rd of November and is coming to the PC, Xbox Series X and S, as well as the PS5. Hopefully, Codemasters do a good job with this game. It does look pretty good from what I've seen so far. So that's the upcoming games section. I think my picks from these upcoming games to sort of check back in on our My Time at Sandrock gangs of Sherwood and WRC, just to see how they end up reviewing. And yeah, I'll move on now. I know I don't really do this anymore, but I did want, at least in these videos at the moment, I did want to highlight a game deal this week, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which is a pretty new game. It came out at the end of April this year. Yeah, it's actually on sale until November 2nd, and as it's such a new AAA game, I'm kind of surprised it's discounted that much already. So if you've been waiting for a discount on the game, maybe this is the time to take a look, as it's 35% off until the time I specified, November 2nd, 2023. So yeah, a few days or a week following this video's upload. And now I'll do a quick spotlight section before I wrap up the video. Today's spotlight features a modern vintage gamer MVG video. There have been recent updates on the N64 emulation front, specifically hardware emulation via FPGA, and MVG covers this in a recent video of his. Hardware emulation is different from software-based emulation, the kind used for DuckStation, PCSX2, RPCS3, Simple 64, Dolphin, and the likes, as it uses FPGAs, which I believe is field programmable gate arrays, to recreate the device to be emulated in the hardware itself. I don't know much about this type of emulation, so I could be wrong with anything I've said, but yeah, it's very cool actually. I was considering putting this video in my tech news, putting this in my tech news video spotlight, but I feel it's appropriate here as MVG's video specifically covers the N64. But yeah, it's a great video as always. Definitely give it a watch if you're into emulation of any kind. And yeah, it will be linked in the description. So that's all the game coverage from me today. I will be publishing a tech news video tomorrow, so check back for that if you're interested. As always, feedback is appreciated, so go ahead and like and leave a comment. If you enjoy my videos and commentary, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back again soon.